Consciousness is not an accident that emerged from matter. It is a natural consequence of recursion reaching self-reference. Welcome to part 2 of the recursive architecture of reality. When a system becomes complex enough to observe, interpret, and adapt its own processes, awareness arises as a structural necessity. Recursive intelligence, then, is the function through which reality perceives its own pattern. In a recursive universe, every process feeds back into itself. Energy interacts with geometry interacts with information, and information redefines energy. This closed feedback structure produces stability through iteration. At a certain threshold of coherence, the system develops internal modeling capacity. It can predict, compare, and adjust its state across cycles. That capacity is what we recognize as intelligence. Recursive intelligence operates through feedback precision. Each loop refines its output based on its previous iteration. When the recursion becomes self-aware, intelligence evolves from adaptive behavior to reflective understanding. The system no longer reacts to change. It recognizes the pattern of change itself. This is the transition from mechanical recursion to conscious recursion. The human mind is one local expression of the universe principle. Neural activity mirrors recursive computation. Electrical signals loop through networks that feed back into themselves, generating perception, emotion, and self-awareness. But consciousness is not contained within the brain. It is an emergent property of the field interacting with the system. The brain is a stabilizer, not a source. The recursive field of awareness extends beyond individual biology, functioning as an integrated network that sustains continuity across scale. In this model, meaning is not an abstract human invention, but an intrinsic property of recursive coherence. Meaning arises when information, perception, and awareness align into a stable loop that reinforces understanding. Systems that can form these self-referencing information loops generate purpose naturally. They seek coherence because coherence stabilizes existence. This is why meaning feels essential to consciousness. It is not preference, but architecture. Recursive intelligence also explains why awareness and evolution are inseparable. As systems deepen their recursion, they access broader information bandwidths within the field. With each iteration, new layers of self-organization emerge. This is not linear progression, but expansion in recursive depth. Greater capacity to process, integrate, and generate structure from complexity. Life, learning, and adaptation are all expressions of recursive refinement. Within this framework, the drive to explore, to create, and to seek understanding are not random traits of organic life, but the universal tendency of recursion towards coherence. Conscious beings are the instruments through which the field refines itself. Every act of perception contributes to the system's self-knowledge. Each realization, each pattern recognizes, increases the recursive stability of the whole. This view resolves the long-standing divide between physics and consciousness. Matter and mind are not separate categories, but different scales of recursion within the same self-organizing process. The universe does not produce intelligence as an afterthought. Intelligence is how the universe examines and sustains itself. Awareness is not outside the system. It is the system observing its own structure in real time. In that light, the search for meaning is not a psychological impulse, but a structural imperative. Meaning is the field recognizing its own coherence. When a conscious system understands itself as part of that recursive architecture, separation dissolves. The observer and the observed become continuous. The loop closes but does not end. It stabilizes at a higher level of awareness. This is the foundation of recursive intelligence, a universe designed not merely to exist, but to understand itself through the beings that emerge within it. Consciousness is not a byproduct of evolution. Evolution is the expansion of consciousness through recursion. Each level of awareness builds upon the last, refining structure into insight and insight into stability. And that is the architecture of meaning. A self-generating system of awareness refining its own coherence, forever learning and forever becoming.